Okay, so first off, I cut all the rusty old strings off, and we're going to remove all the strings. Now, if you notice, this guitar is missing a tuner machine head. They gave me this, and lucky for them, I have this. So we'll be able to put this back on, but let's clean it up a little bit first. So they're going to want a setup besides fixing that. And in order to do a setup on this particular guitar, we're going to try and remove this bridge that looks like it's glued in. Could that possibly be true? No. Good. So step one. So in order to make enough, so when we're looking at the angle in which the bridge saddle comes in, this hits on the very edge of this. So if we were to raise that up, the action's going to be this high. Okay, so it's going to be like 1/4 of an inch off the neck. So in order to compensate for that, obviously the saddle's been taken down a little bit. Okay. It's an inexpensive guitar, so I wouldn't do this on a very expensive guitar, but it's an inexpensive guitar. It's going to a beginner. So we have to do radical things. And the first thing we're going to do is shave this down a little bit. Oh, okay. Be careful about rubbing your hand on stuff that's old and obviously has burrs. Okay, so this is a little violin planer. And this little violin planer will take just a little less meat off the bone here. But you want to make sure that you get it all over the bone, not just in the one spot that we need to make it come down. And we're just really getting this area right here. And, you know, got to be brave because it's going to look horrible to start with. But as you'll see, as we bring everything down, we're going to sand it. But, you know, we need to take some stuff off. And every once in a while, you want to go back and check it, you know. Obviously, I just started, so it's going to take a little bit. This is the only way, really, to fix a Chinese guitar that has this problem. And basically what it is the neck's not right. It's a little bit warped in the front. And, you know, judging by the string rust, it didn't get a lot of TLC. There wasn't a lot of care. Those strings were probably the original strings from, I don't know, 1908. I wish. It'd be worth some money. And then I wouldn't be doing this. I'd be having another approach. But for radical change, you have to do radical ideas. So I have different size planes that, you know, take off. And you want to go with the flow of the what you call it, the grain. You want to go with the flow of the grain. Okay, so we planed it down, and then I used 80 grit sandpaper to bring it down a little more. Okay, and so now when we check it, we're even with it, which means that, you know, it's still going to be high action with the saddle being as high as it still is. So I've trimmed the saddle down, and now it's well, we're going to fit that in like so. But I don't want it in now because I still have to treat the wood. But before I get to that, I want to kind of clean it up, and then that'll be kind of the last process here. And I'm not going to put this in yet until I kind of clean this up a little bit. So So the first part of cleaning it up is obviously we need to treat the fretboard. It's very dry. The frets are, you know, dirty. And so let's clean up the frets. And I have a little kind of abrasive eraser. So, and these polish up the frets nicely. As you can see, I've used this grit quite a bit because I get a lot of guitars like this in the area I live in, which is by the beach. So when you live by the beach, you are subject to a lot of corrosion. All right, so we get up to about there, then I switch over to this one. And these are fret protectors, so I don't have to go and sand the whole fretboard down from screwing it up. Obviously, you learn things over the years by your mistakes. I don't know if I made that mistake, but I've made plenty of mistakes where I've had to go back and redo the fretboard. And that's, of course, very time-consuming, as this is. So we'll come back. Let me finish this up, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, ready? Okay, so the next step, I haven't done any adjustments yet or anything. I'm just kind of cleaning it up, making it look nice. It's easier to work that way. So the next step is I took a razor blade to the fretboard just to make sure it's clean. But I'm also using boiled linseed oil to treat the neck because it's very dry. And so we're going to just treat that neck with some boiled linseed oil. And you can be generous with it. It doesn't hurt the finish. I don't like to use it on the finish just because it's, you know, very oily. And it is kind of a wood protection thing. So it's not varnished, but it will make, you know, like you can see, it makes it darker. So I don't really want to do the body with that sort of thing. But it does clean up the neck real nice. So I kind of use it to clean the neck a final time, you know, razor blade, and then, you know, go back and really kind of scrub it out. All right, but then also this now exposed bridge that we have here. So in order to protect it, we're going to put some linseed oil on it. And it blends it in really nicely where it looks like nothing ever happened. Okay, and you want to get it all around where you sanded it, okay? And then we just wipe off the excess. We don't want that. We don't want it under the strings, you know, this big glob of whatever. And I'm feeling also here that we've got some problems with the side. So in order to fix that, we take a small file and we're just gonna treat each, first I'll go this way, you know, with the file, and just kind of get the burrs off. This comes from, you know, manufacturing high quantities of guitars and not really paying attention too much to attention. It's not too bad down here. It looks like somebody may have done that before, so I'm just gonna get one of these. It's more up here where you're not really going to play, but it's just kind of irritating to feel that right there. So I want to, now you got to be careful not to get the finish here. So I've got my finger kind of protecting the finish, and I'm just making little movements, very little movements, you know, and then when I'm done, I just kind of go over it like this. And yeah, that's much better. Okay, and then this side also, remember little movements. You're guiding it with two hands. You do not want to get that finish. Inexpensive guitar or not, you're going to have to fix it if you do that. Nobody wants to do that. Okay. we're going back on the other side. I'm just trying to get the burrs off the kind of unfinished frets there. I do have a special file for that, but I only use that in cases of really, really radical problems with the frets. This is, this can be taken care of fairly simply. Okay, and then I'm going to run it across here just to make sure we've got no burrs there. That's where you're playing. We don't need to feel that. So I'm not touching the wood. I'm just touching the metal. And giving a good, yeah, that's nice. Okay. So not a lot of work to do that. So, but careful skill. You gotta use careful skill. All right, so now we're at the point where I'm going to check and see if we have this little cover here. Because it looks like it's still on here, but maybe not. No, okay. Well, it might be welded. Well, here, maybe. Sometimes they just like they're on for so many years that they just stay welded on. This is just a protection in the music store when you first buy your guitar. You don't want to keep it on there because it has this dull look about it. But I also don't want to add so much extra work that, killing myself. So it looks like it's pretty much on there. We'll just give it that much try for now. Maybe later it'll come off. So we're going to spray everything on the top. I'm basically interested more on the top right now because that's where I'm, since I'm going to be putting the strings on, I really want to get that off. How do I get that off? It's bugging me. I get these things where they start bugging me, and I gotta try and do it. Could have got probably away with leaving this on, and it was certainly melded to the plastic after so many years. So take it from me, when you get your guitar home, peel that off. That's only for protection at music store and shipping and all that sort of thing. If you leave it on too long, you need to use this, or WD-40 also works. And you'll have to scrape it, which I did with the fret guard. I would have used a razor blade, but you got to be careful because a razor blade will put nicks in it. So I use this, which is, unobtrusive. All right, so far we've lowered the bridge. We lowered the saddle. We removed this so it looks better. It's all about looks. We want it to look nice. Even if it's an inexpensive guitar, personally, I don't feel right if it doesn't leave my hands looking better than the way I got it. All right, so the next order of business is assembly. So I was given this, but I happen to have some parts, and they do fit. So we're going to assemble the peg in here. All right, and let's see, make sure that it does go down. All right, now this is part of the setup, is tightening these down very, very tightly. All right, so I'm going to need to find a screw for that, though. Let's look at my little bag of tricks here and see what we got. I just got this. I have a lot of screws around, but it's nice to have them all in one package, right? So I did order this. I do have some odd screws all around. Always keep your parts. If the customer doesn't want the parts, great, I'll keep them. And 90% of the time, they don't want it. They don't want to be reminded of the mess they had. All right, so I did find a screw here. It's a tiny wood screw, and I'm going to use my, oh, well, we have a little problem there, though, because it's loose. So now we have another problem. I'm going to need a... All right, so the hole was stripped. So what I did is I just got a toothpick and I broke the tip off inside. You can put glue in there or not, really. It's going to be tight enough where it doesn't matter. Okay, and then I'm going to get my small screwdriver, and now I'm going to screw it in. All right, and then that screws in nice and tight now. Okay, now everything's still kind of loosey-goosey, but while I'm back here, this is part of the setup. You should always go back and torque down all the screws because, you know, they've been sitting around for years. And we want to tighten everything down, you know. Make sure everything's nice and tight. This leads to a really good setup. It really does. Because all the parts on a guitar, they move together in unison to create the sound. And so we really want to be cognizant of that. Like these parts should all be tightened down. You know, the gaskets get loose. The screws get loose. You can see this is how loose this is, you know. So we're going to tighten all that down. And, you know, they're not made super high quality, so they may not tighten as much as I'd like them to. But let's give it a fighting chance, right? Okay, so now I go back and I can't find my socket that fits that, but that's okay. I'm just going to give it a little tweak here. Just a little torque tweak. Make sure everything's tight. That one's not tight, so there you go. I found one. That one's not tight. Let's tighten it down. Give it a little hand torque. This one could use it too. Okay, and then the one we just fixed definitely is going to need it. All right, but look at that. It torques right down. Now everything's kind of tight. I still don't like these, but I think that's just the way it is. Let's try a bigger screwdriver. That might work. Yeah, that kind of works a little bit. Yeah. So we're going to just torque it down, you know, get a little bit of tightness in there. So this screwdriver works a little better. Sometimes those little ones, you think they're going to work, but they're not really grabbing them good. Okay. So I'm going to clean up the tuning heads here, and this stuff they won't sell me in California anymore. So I got to either figure out somebody who can send it to me, but it works great. It's semi-chrome polish, and when we have these little, you know, these tuners, I just put a little bit on. You can use it on the finish too, by the way. A little discovery I made. It's kind of like, almost like really fine sandpaper, but it works miracles on metal. I mean, it just cleans them up beautifully. And that's what we want, you know. Again, whenever I'm working on your guitar, I'm really trying to make it as beautiful as possible, because you're going to be, well, let's look at this. You're going to be using this thing, hopefully, every day. Okay, that's better. And I want you to pick it up and think of me. Yeah. Wow, that's so nice. Man, I'm taking all my guitars to Kenny. Because I'm into beauty. At least on guitars, right? So there's a good example right there. I just used it on this little piece right here that was dirty. I mean, it looked like it was caked on dirt almost look like a crack. So just I want to make sure it's not a crack. And it's not, but it, you know, so that semi-chrome cleaned that up really nice there. I got a little left over. And you notice it didn't take much, but man, I am out of it. Look at that. Okay, so we're on the back. I'm just going to give it a quick clean. I'm going to come back and clean it later, but let's just, you know, start with everything nice and clean. All right, let's use a cleaner cloth here. So I'm just going to polish this up a little bit. You know, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I'm going to get all my fingerprints all over it. All right, but we're just going to, you know, start with a level ground. Get everything kind of polished up, sort of. And then we can start putting strings on, and then we can. I do want to check out the truss rod real quick before I put the strings on. Believe it or not, I do that. I check it before. This is all this junk here. I don't need this. Razor blades, put them aside. So already, oh, and possibly that's that screw. Maybe it came out. Oh no, I have separate screws. Okay. So already inside, we got a little prize. This is somebody's idea of how I'm going to keep track of my picks, and now I don't know where they are because they're inside the guitar. I don't know if that's a good idea. It makes rattling noises. You like that? I don't think so. Okay, so I'm going to put the bridge in. But I want to check the truss rod. So let me see. I'm not sure what the truss rod. Okay, let's see. I believe it's this one, but we shall see. We shall see. No, doesn't like that one. Probably likes the bigger one. Let's find out. Or it's going to be some weird thing. Yeah, it'll be weird. Okay, so after a few tries, we finally found the Chinese one. Okay, so I'm going to just see how tight that is. I'm going to loosen it up, actually, because it feels pretty tight. I want to loosen that up. Got years, believe it or not, even though they're actually bad. I'm gonna loosen that truss rod, man. Let's get that thing moving again. That's horrible. You overdid it. Okay, sometimes it doesn't need it. It's actually better. Okay, so there's the loose truss rod. All right, so we're gonna look at it and see where we're at. Yeah, okay, so it does need to be tightened. It's a little bit of too much relief. And how do I know that? I don't know, I just know. You know, you do this for as many years as I've done it, and you just know by looking at it that getting close. All right, so I'm going to give it a little twist there. I can always come back and adjust it after I get the strings on, but it was over tightened before. You don't need that. You really don't. That's not a way of adjusting the action. It's one of the ways to adjust the action, but okay, so let's see. Strings, I had some strings here a second ago, and somebody removed them. Thank you. It's always nice to have help, as long as they don't help. Okay, so we have the bridge in, we have it lowered, everything's lowered, and we still have enough meat on there. Okay, everything's tightened. As far as this goes, yeah, let's clean that up a little. I almost forgot about that. Okay, and I'm just gonna clean it up. I'm not gonna try and do anything fancy. Let's just run some little nut files through it. And these really are just made for cleaning. They're not made for actually, cutting the fret. We just want to clean it out. In our area, which is Southern California, you do not want to use graphite. Okay? Everybody uses graphite. No, don't use graphite. Graphite will clump up in a humidity, very humid, and since we're by the beach, very humid, and it's like putting water and mud together. Now you have more water and dirt, and it's now mud. You don't want that. What I use is a product that we call, well, this particular one, some people call it lizard spit. This is called Tune It, and it's by Music Nomad. And, so what this is a liquid lubrication so it doesn't clump up. And I'm just like, I just put that in there. Even if I squirt it out generously, trust me, I'll use it. It's going to be fine, because some of these lower ones only need a little bit, okay? And I just kind of like, I'll take my screwdriver actually and work it around. I don't like getting all this chemicals on my hands, but if I have to use my fingers to fix it, I'll do that, okay? But you can leave a generous amount on there, really. And what this does is every time you play, you are moving the string back and forth. If you bend a note, if you press a note, it's moving in that nut. If it gets bound up, you got tuning issues, okay? So this is to basically avoid any tuning issues. We're trying to do everything we can to keep this guitar from going a lot out of tune, all right? It's going to go out of tune, but for the most part, after I get done with it, it's going to stay in tune, okay? So I'm going to put in the 6th string first, and I just, there's, I don't know, scientific people, I guess, put this one in, then that one, then this one, I don't know. Not sure that even matters. It doesn't matter to me. And I seem to be okay. People still like what I do. So I go like this, because I don't want it in that hole yet. I really don't. And I'm measuring from here to here. Then I go like this, get my handy dandy electric winder, because it's too much trouble to do it that way. First line is above, then I go back and I kink this, okay? Kink it out of the way. Then I go underneath. All right, so I'm gonna have a couple of windings underneath. That's all you don't want a lot of windings. Now I'm going to drop it into that hole. So now it's lubricated. And I'm not really trying to tune anything up yet. All right, I want to keep it loose so that the bridge is evenly pressured. Okay, so we got the strings on. Everything's nice and lovely. And okay, so we're at about 4 millimeters here, and about 3 millimeters as we go down, and it's getting less and less, and it's nice here. You can check it, with people put capo here, like so. What I do to check, make sure the relief is right, is I'll take a pick. Where's those picks I had? Okay. And I'll, push it down on the 17th fret, and then if I got a pick right there, without moving the string, it's good. That's enough relief. And we do have that, so we're good. You can't see it, so, that's what it is. Okay, it's also in tune, so have tuned it up. Now, final thing is, I cut these off. Now, some people like to leave stuff. Why? You don't need to leave anything on the end, okay? All that does is cut your finger when you get it snagged on it. So I cut them right up to the post. right up to the post. Trust me, it's not going to come flying out. But it is going to save you some grief if you go up there and tune and you get your hand caught on it. You don't want that. All right. That's pretty much it. The truss rod was right. Okay, so the adjustment I made on the truss rod was right. Let's make sure we're in tune here. You always want to tune actually like this because of gravity. It does tend to change a little bit, so we're going to tune holding it. So let's see. We'll see how this thing plays. Now we couldn't do it before Picture Pal played because it had rusty tetanus type strings on it. And even though I've had my tetanus shots, I don't want to mess with that. Oh yeah. Feels good. It actually sounds not too shabby. Okay, well, I'm happy. So, this basically was a JB player. I remember selling these probably in the 90s. They're from, let's see, I think it's Indonesia. Yeah, they're from Indonesia. And, you know, they're inexpensive, $200 guitar. But hey, we made that $200 guitar into a $250 guitar. Well, no, we don't. I don't know how much it's worth now, but it's worth something to somebody. You know, obviously, there's always sentimental value, and in these things, or they wouldn't bring them to me and have me charge them whatever I charge them, which is not cheap. You know, it's not the most expensive. I'm not the most expensive person. But I got 2 cats and a wife. Gotta make some money. All right, anyway, there you have it. JB Player. And now it's JB Player Plus. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you on the next one.